Destructoid.
And we are live with Spot Dodge, a live Nintendo podcast. I'm Brett Medlock, not here today, but I am introing the podcast just in case, anybody forgets about me. Today, as always, I'm here with Greg Vargas, writer over at PC Invasion and streamer over at Dynamite Giraffe. Alongside him is the always lovely Mary Stowe, host and social media manager here at Destructoid. Then we have John Frisha, indie game developer and managing editor over at The Escapist. Had to remember that one. And then lastly, we have the king, the daddy, the DILF, Brett Larson. How you guys doing today?
Do you really have to do that?
I guess you can't respond to me. But yeah, it's going to be a great show. We're going to talk about that crazy news about Microsoft buying Nintendo. And then we also have that other crazy news about Phil Spencer quitting his job and becoming a country singer. Like, who saw that coming? He has an upcoming tour with Keith Urban, so that's going to be exciting. And then lastly, that other crazy news that nobody saw coming: Sony actually forfeited, and they're done. They're gone forever. So that's good news. No, just kidding. Brett, calm down. I'm just kidding. Yeah, that's pretty much it. This is going to be a great show. I'm not here this week, but Greg, you are going to take it from here with whatever news happened this week. Obviously, nothing I just said. So yes, let's get into it.
I'm
Wow,
so
what a
happy
guy.
that was my first time watching that.
Likewise.
That was wonderful. That was great.
Well, thanks, Brett, for the intro. And yes, this is Spot Dodge, a live Nintendo podcast. I'm Greg Vargas. I'm your host, Dynamite Giraffe. And today, like Brett said, we are young and the Brettless because we do not have the other Brett with us here. But we do have Mary Stowe and John Frisha down below. How are you guys doing?
Well, I mean, Brett already asked us that question, but
But did you answer?
I'm great. I'm great. You know, I saw Moonfall.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Sounded thrilling.
Everyone's got to see it, or else you're just kind of missing out in life. I'll just leave it at that.
The gravity of the situation.
Totally.
Apparently, the movie is about the Earth's moon and how gravity stops magically behind closed doors. So I don't know if you're into physics or science. Yes, but maybe that's a movie that you don't want to check out. I don't know.
Majora's Mask, the movie.
Yeah.
It's good stuff.
But yes, we've got a couple things to cover today. I don't know if anybody has been caught up on the news, but we got a few things from Kingdom Hearts. We're going to cover some of the Sonic 2 movie stuff, Epic Games, and the Metaverse, and anything else that anybody has to talk about, including what we've been playing this week. So firstly, I'm going to kick it over to John. John, what have you been playing this week?
Right now, I'm trying to finish up Yakuza 3. So my adventure there is almost at an end. My orphanage has been accosted by rapscallions, and I have to protect my orphans. I don't want to get into too much detail because I don't want to spoil things for people, but yeah, this is any Yakuza trailer you've ever seen, like, it's basically all that all over again, except now I'm like helping my orphans at my orphanage, and it's just like stupidly charming. Like, I want to say like at least like a full quarter of this game is just helping children with like their really arbitrary problems. Like, somebody like borrowed like 500 yen from a girl and like didn't give it back, and like I have to resolve this matter, and like that's like a quarter of the video game. In a series that's all about just like beating up thugs and like gangsters in like the streets of Japan, a quarter of the game, yes, those kids, I'm helping them. Like, it's like I have absolutely no idea what spurred this creative decision, but like I'm totally here for it. Like, the rest of the game's kind of getting repetitive with the rest of the series, so helping out these little kids is like the highlight of the whole stupid thing. So so I've got like 2 chapters left, and I'm looking forward to putting it to bed. But I'm really liking
Nice.
that one right now. Yeah. So I think that's yeah, for the most part, that's really how I'm playing right now.
It's funny because you could completely make up whatever plot point you wanted to make up,
Hmm.
or just pull something randomly out of the air, and I couldn't tell whether or not it'd be a true Yakuza plot or not. Is
Totally.
this legitimately a game, or is this orphanage a lie? I don't know.
Yeah. I think in one of the later games, there's like you can do like deep sea diving or something and like shoot at sharks or something like that.
What?
So I haven't gotten there yet, but looking forward to it.
A true staple of the culture.
Yeah.
But and Mary, what about you? What are you playing this week?
So I finished up Kirby and the Forgotten Land. It was wonderful. I loved it. The everyone needs to do it. I don't want to like go too far into like the ending, but I was like, oh, but like this is it's good. It's really good. It ends in a really good way. And then I've hit another plot point of Horizon Forbidden West. I'm really honing in on that main story and like focusing, and I got to a really interesting part that I didn't quite see coming. And so I'm newly motivated to finish Forbidden West. And then again, I'm still powering through Fire Emblem Radiant Dawn for the first time. And lots of plot, lots of drama. I have a lot of questions. My head is spinning right now from that game.
Nice.
I don't know how you had the attention span to tackle such big games like these, like
Yeah.
one after
Well,
the other.
like
I'd have to step away for like a week.
I had to put Tunic down, unfortunately. Like I want to go
Oh
back to
yeah.
Tunic, but like I started it. I think I'm just gonna restart it. But Fire Emblem is like my stream game, and then Horizon Forbidden West is like my couch game. Like I just play when I want
Mm.
to like relax. So that's kind of how I separate the two really huge games from each other.
So did you guys both? I think John, you wrapped Kirby like what, 2 weeks ago?
Probably somewhere around there. Yeah, like I beat it the
Yeah.
weekend it came out.
Okay.
Did
Yeah.
did that kind of reignite your guys' interest in other games and being able to say like, oh, I finished Kirby, it's time for me to put it down. It was sweet, I'm done.
I think so. I think hitting that plot point in Forbidden West and then also like completing Kirby and like feeling that accomplishment of like I beat the game, I finished it, like I'm ready to go, like do the same thing, you know. I think that did kind of, like you said, reignite that drive to finish that game.
And
Yeah,
John was
Kirby
just
like
still grinding Yakuza anyway.
yeah. Well, the thing was like again, like I didn't even plan to buy Kirby. I like that the review code just came to me, so I was like, all right, guess I'm reviewing Kirby. And like I'm really thankful that happened because of how much I ended up loving it. Like
Yeah.
we've like I mean we've talked it to death, but it's still worth repeating. Like this game is so good.
Mhm.
Like, it's just
Yeah,
like so purely fun and imaginative top to bottom.
I was so surprised, and I'll just jump into what I've been playing this last week because it
Sure.
included Kirby as well too. But just some of the I think even some of the more adult kind of, it wasn't even, I wouldn't say elements, because I feel like they just kind of implied, that it's post-apocalyptic just based on the world, and some of the sequences too made it seem really dark, like towards the end, like almost Resident Evil type, like
Mm,
some of the how it transitioned into like your next boss battle and all that stuff.
yeah.
Mhm.
But yeah, I cannot recommend Kirby enough. I think it's one of the strongest Nintendo first party Nintendo games out there, and it did something for me that no other game really hasn't done in a long time, and that's made me turn my Switch back on and go and play it. Like I have been neglecting my Switch so much until Kirby, and I put in so many hours, and I still have more to complete on it. And even to the point that I have other Kirby games on the DS and 3DS, and I popped those in to just kind of like compare like Kirby Triple Deluxe, and I forget what the other one is, Squeak Squad. But
Hmm.
like even switching from 3D to 2D, and like I feel like Nintendo rested on their laurels for a long time with Kirby, and there's
Mhm.
something visibly missing and noticeably missing when I went back and played those. It didn't have the same, I don't know, like kind of like original Super Mario Brothers, and then you play something like Mario Odyssey, and it's something completely different. And I really hope that trend continues, given how much fun, how cohesive the experience is, how just in general the polish on it all around was visible from start to finish. So I really do hope that Nintendo does continue on this like
Mhm.
weird adventure into making these types of games that have, not the non-traditional formula for Nintendo games. And I think it'll pay dividends, whatever IP that they decide to do this with in the future.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
Nintendo really knows how to be like, well, it's like it's odd. Like you can look at one Nintendo game to the next and be like, okay, yeah, doesn't seem all that much different than what came before. But like, if you actually play the thing, often there is like these nuances that like really make it feel like a fresh experience. And
mhm,
it just so happens that this time around on Switch, like there's like very like visible jumps this time, like
yeah.
Breath of the Wild compared to what was it,
Mhm.
Skyward Sword was the last one, right? It's been so long. Was it Skyward Sword?
What? I
Yeah,
That
it's
was
mean,
been
before
so long.
true 3D, yeah.
yeah,
Right?
Yeah.
because I'm trying to think
Man.
like 3DS, but yeah, from like the like an actual like home console, not
Right,
like a
like the
handheld
console.
console.
Yeah, yeah, the console
Yeah.
ones. Man, so that was a big gap. What was
Yeah,
that,
Oh,
like
that's
6
really?
years? I think that was like 2011 to 2017.
Yeah.
Boy, wow.
yeah.
Okay, so that was a big gap. All right, but yeah, my point stands. That was like a quantum jump in play, and like Super Mario Odyssey from like 3D World. Well, 3D World itself was kind of like a pivot, like that and Land. Like that was like going back to like an old like kind of like a Super Mario Brothers 3 sort of style. It's just that it happened
Yeah.
to be in 3D with like the finite levels and whatnot. And so then when Odyssey went like basically Super Mario 64 on steroids, like that felt really novel. So like, I don't know, like bottom line, Nintendo can do no wrong with this stuff. It's just gonna
Yeah.
keep pumping out like 9 out of 10s and 10 out of 10 games on these fronts. It's like,
Mhm.
Yeah,
that's just how it
they're
is.
and they're just like I feel like I read something before that talked about how some of the seasoned veterans in Nintendo are slowly transitioning their way out, and a lot of these games are being handed off by the younger developers that are at
Mhm.
the company. And
Mm.
if you look back to the days of like and Miyamoto's been there since the 80s. And same with Iwata. He brought a lot of younger devs in there, and he was a younger dev himself. But you can really tell, I think, if that still stands true, then that gives sheds even more light on why we got such quirky things like Mario turning into like a little frog, or a
Mhm.
T-Rex in Odyssey, and then even just some of those elements that we saw in Kirby that were just a post-apocalyptic Kirby game where he turns into a car. Like if you told me that a year
Yeah,
ago, I would get
and
the
it's
hell
still
out of
adorable.
here.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I forget the stats right now, but at some point Nintendo I think actually released like some numbers and like it's like job retention and like how long the average employee had been there, and they're like they stay there for decades.
Mhm.
Like
Mm,
I'm sure in the first place that Japan has like much better like job retention than like the US. Like the US, everyone's hopping around, and it's not necessarily because we want to. It's because like the system sucks. But Japan is used to having that rigid hierarchy of like you pick a job, you pick a company, and you just stay with it, and you work through the ranks for like decades. So like I would imagine part of it's the culture, but another part of it is like you never hear ex Nintendo employees bad mouthing Nintendo.
Mhm.
Like
yeah,
you never hear about like that big controversy during the development of that one Nintendo game. Like there's never been a Hideo Kojima situation at Nintendo, you know? Like
Yeah.
right.
there's never been like an anything situation at Nintendo. So like either either they're managing their things like quite well, or like they're extremely good at like stomping out like anyone that could talk about what's behind the curtain. It could be a little
Well,
of both,
I'm sure. Yeah, I
but
was gonna say I'm sure that's the case given
yeah,
the DMCA strikes and cease and
yeah,
desist orders and
yeah.
but
But
but I think you're
at
exactly right. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. No, well, I was just gonna say that, like, plus, like, just judging by the fact that, like, they're so okay with delaying games, like it's
Yeah.
never been like we need to get this game out for the stockholders. Like Nintendo's very
Mhm.
much like the shareholders are gonna wait for us to
Yeah.
Yeah.
deal with it. Like nobody on the earth has ever told Nintendo what to do. So like yeah, I don't know. At least from the outside looking in, it seems like they have their ship together.
Mhm.
Ship
Yeah.
SHIP.
I mean, also, yeah.
Well, but it's it's funny that you say that too because I was just going through like a bunch of old emails, and I brought this up on the show before, because a lot of times you'll hear like, oh, you'll get a pitch for a game. This is like, oh, X Witcher 3 devs are now making their own game. And so I was like deleting all these old emails, and I looked and it was like, uh, X Battlefield devs make, whatever game. And it was from like a couple years ago. And like I don't recall the game itself ever releasing. I don't recall the game. I don't know who these devs are. And it just kind of released into the ether and probably never heard of again. But at the
Yeah.
same time, like you never hear like ex Nintendo devs make new studio or
Mhm.
these veteran Nintendo developers are making a new game. No, they retain them and move them to other projects.
Yeah, that is true.
At least from the outside
Yeah.
looking in, we don't know for
Right.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean like I'm trying to think, like, basically the only scenarios where I can think of people, like, leaving Nintendo is, like, composers, and it's not because
Yeah,
they dislike Nintendo, it's just that because, like, composers have, like, an inclination to, like, go independent after a long time,
yeah.
Mhm.
so mm,
And I'm sure they want to create something that inspires them and not just, do the same thing over and over again.
Yeah.
right. Yeah,
But
yeah.
I do like how Eric is showing a video that's a tour of Nintendo from Kit and Krista that both left Nintendo.
Yeah. Well, the show I think they finally just ended the show, and now they started their own, like, show as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So which
Yeah,
I think
it's
is cool that
funny,
they're continuing.
yeah, I've been if not every single second, I've at least watched most of, like, every episode of the new show, and what makes that funny is I never watch Nintendo Minute, like, ever. But I've, like, become a fan of them after the fact. So, I don't
Are
know.
you
They
wanting
seem like
wanting
nice
to
people.
Yeah. I met Kit,
I
like,
want them to get
randomly.
married, Greg. Why aren't they married?
It's not a sitcom, John.
That's how it works.
I remember I met him a long time ago at it was like a Kid Icarus Uprising tournament that they had in LA, and I was just out there, BSing, but man, that was a long time ago when that game released, and Kit's been, just around the scene this entire time, and I mean, yeah, I guess you could say the same for their PR. They handle things pretty close to the chest, and if you can, walk the walk and talk the talk with Nintendo and keep secrets and be in good spirits, and you'll be there for a long time.
Yeah.
All right, so let's jump into this week's topics. So got a
Actually, real
couple.
quick, I'm
What?
sorry. Uh, we should address the couple comments we had from last week's show.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I've got them here. So one
Nice.
of them is about sex bots. So probably won't cover that one too closely. But yes, we are on the lookout for sex bots. Thank you for noting that. uh, got a comment from G Max who says, "I hope Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope comes out in May or June." Uh, yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
Um, I
Didn't the
forget.
first one release not too long after it was like showcased in the summer?
Could be. I don't remember anymore. It's been so long. Um, but well, Advance Wars was supposed to come out and did not because of the horrible reality of the planet.
Mhm.
Um, but
Yeah.
I guess with that out, I think there's at least a couple months where Nintendo as like a whole now. I think. I mean, they have a ton of things coming this year, but I think the next couple months are light. So, like, yeah, maybe this would be a good time for Mario to come out, Mario and Rabbids.
Hmm.
Or
So
increasing that
hopefully
Switch Online library.
something, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the
And
original Mario and Rabbids was August 29th, 2017. So,
okay,
Okay.
yeah.
I
I
guess
felt
that
like
makes
that was
sense.
the
Yeah.
case, yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say
All
they
right.
could
So
do maybe like a last minute like summer push during. I mean, we're not gonna have E3, so I'm calling it like summer presentations at this point.
Yeah.
yeah, right.
So they'll probably do something there, and then maybe yeah, maybe July, August. We'll have to
yeah.
see.
Yeah. So yeah, we're with you, Gmax. We hope you're right.
May- Maybe they'll just all move to the Keeley Showcase, whatever that is.
Yeah, right. We'll see.
Yeah.
And one more comment from Jonathan Drews or VG Mobster. We know VG Mobster. He says, "Can't wait for
Hey.
Bayonetta 3. Def my most anticipated game of the year, along with God of War. Now that Breath of the Wild 2 is delayed to 2023. Great podcast, everyone. Keep it up." Thank you, VG Mobster.
Thank you.
Yes, thank
Yeah,
you.
Bayonetta 3, I do think will release this year because I can't be wrong twice in 1 year about things getting delayed.
Are you a bet man?
No, actually, and it's better that way. Like, it's
Yeah,
like
I feel
like
like that's a very possible, and like I feel like it's the same Breath of the Wild 2 kind of take, is like if it gets delayed, I won't be hurt. I won't be
No.
sad.
Yeah.
uh, with Bayonetta. So like I've never really played any of the Devil May Cry games, so like my opinion is like not complete enough to count. But of the action games I've played, I feel like Bayonetta 2 is like the best one I've ever played. Bayonetta 2 is so freaking good. I played it on the Wii U and like just
Ah,
it was like well, obviously it didn't play like Kirby, but it gave me that sort of Kirby feeling where like the whole time I was playing, I was like, "Oh yeah, this is about as good as it gets." Like it's
yeah.
like
Well, I think everybody can appreciate that level of like instead of, you have to be, oh, I'm a diehard Witcher, or oh, I'm an assassin. Like, can we just like have stupid fun? Like, what happened to that?
Yeah. That's what I was gonna say.
yeah,
It's really nice to see games that like don't take themselves too seriously. It's like it's a game. You're
Yeah,
supposed to be laughing and having fun and making fun of it, you know?
yeah, yeah. Bayonetta definitely doesn't take itself overly seriously,
Yeah.
like for better or
yeah.
worse. We do have a woman who like magically gets naked to use her magic powers and stuff, but that's that's Japan.
Mom, is
Yeah.
that you? What? But oh, well, that also kind of reminded me of a. I forgot to say I was also playing the Lego Star Wars Skywalker Saga,
Oh yeah,
and
Oh, nice.
but
I've
that's
heard that's
also kind of
awesome.
like, yeah. So
Hmm.
that's also kind of like a silly, stupid fun. I mean, what was it, the original Star Wars trilogy and all the 1 through 3 episodes are included in it too. But I mean, as far as
I'm
that goes, like
I'm
I
hearing like
played it
a
with
creepy reverberating, like sounds like a growling alligator sort of sound. It stopped
maybe
now.
some cars. Maybe
I
Eric's
don't
not
know.
muted all the way.
I don't know. Anyway, I'm
Mm.
sorry. Go ahead. Continue, Greg.
No, but
Oh.
my fiance and I played it together and we had a blast. Like it was just
Mm.
fun, both of us doing pod races, and the moment she
Oh,
got in
there's pod
RGD2,
races.
yeah, I was surprised.
Nice.
Yeah. And it actually plays pretty well. I was like, how are they going to do this with two-player co-op? Because we did
Yeah.
the uh co-op together through Steam, and
Mm.
it worked flawlessly. Like she was
Oh,
able
nice.
to, from her office at the other side of the house, um, jump into my game, get added. We did a co-stream together, and the whole thing just like worked perfectly. And it was so much fun. And just hearing her like whipping donuts in R2, and then like me, I'm just like off like fucking around destroying boxes and, and stuff. And I don't know, it's been a
How
lot
you
of fun.
do?
Yeah,
That's
but
awesome.
have you guys,
It's
either of you guys played it?
I
but
haven't.
actually, my brother told me that his son, my nephew, is like, I guess, like
Mm.
playing this game religiously right now. He's in high school, which makes me like ancient. But but yeah, like he's just playing this to death. So, and I've heard it's like really funny too. Like just on top of
Oh
how
yeah,
much fun it is to play,
Mhm.
like a lot of like good physical comedy and stuff.
yeah. The lines are great,
So, uh,
especially like you go
hopefully
into
I'll
it
play it
expecting
someday.
them. Yeah, you like
Yeah.
certain situations you go in expecting like for it to be like some tense dialogue because you're so accustomed to that, with these like meeting of good and evil in the
Mhm.
movies, and then it's something silly and they get hit in the head with a droid part or something, and I think it works so well, and it looks
Cool.
great. Yeah, looks
Yeah.
absolutely great.
Everything I've
Yeah.
ever seen of it looked really pretty, like Lego game or not.
Yeah,
Sweet.
Eric's rolling through it. Yeah, just
Yeah.
reminiscing now. But yeah, let's jump into the first topic.
Yeah.
Kingdom Hearts 4 announced this week.
Oh
Uh-oh.
man.
Two
I
different head
Out
tilts.
of nowhere.
I was asleep and I woke up to
Right?
my phone going off. Because Sundays I sleep in. I wasn't
Same.
gonna watch the event because it was happening so early, but all of a sudden my phone's going
Yeah.
off. Hey, we gotta get this posted. Kingdom Hearts 4 just got announced, and I just was like laying there half asleep, and I just went, "Oh shit, what?"
Yeah.
And so then all of a sudden, like, I'm like, okay, this person wouldn't lie to me because this is like coming from like a work thing that like we need to get this
Mhm.
trailer posted. And I was like, this is real.
Yep. Yeah, by the time I woke up at The Escapist, someone had written the article and it was waiting on me to like edit it and get it published. And I was like, oh man.
Jeez.
Like, it's like,
Yeah, wasn't it super early,
like
like 6 a.m.? Well, I think it
Yeah.
it was
was like 6
pretty
a.m. my
early. Yeah, I
time.
forget. Like
Yeah.
it was definitely early Sunday morning. And yeah, like Mary, like I wasn't willing to wake up early for that. Like, because like I mean, Japan is special in that they'll have an event for like anything. Like they had an
Yeah.
event for like the mobile the Echoes of Mana mobile game. Square Enix had an event for that. Like who cares about that game? Like
I
and
missed
that had
that.
like a big long event. Like, so like I know this was the 20th anniversary Kingdom Hearts event, so like the odds were good they would show something cool, but I figured it would be like more on the mobile side, and they did announce the mobile game, and like the
Yeah.
merchandise side, and they did announce a
Yeah.
bunch of merchandise.
Yeah.
And they
Like
didn't
maybe just
March
Kingdom
4.
Hearts 4 logo, but no, it's a full trailer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With like I don't know if that combat is like CG. Like I mean, I watched this trailer and like, all right, number one, it does look super impressive. But number
Hmm.
two, I was wondering if this was like a Final Fantasy versus 13 situation where it's like this beautiful trailer that came from out of nowhere and it turns out to have like absolutely nothing to do with the video game that we'll play a decade later.
Yeah. Most likely.
Like, I don't know.
Like
I
But
people were passing it off as a gameplay reveal. And yeah, to a certain degree, it's a quick time event. It's a quick time event boss battle.
mhm.
But
Mhm.
there was, I
Right.
mean, I could see a few things in it that I would say were not impressive.
Mhm.
But
Oh, so Greg's a
overall,
hater. Okay.
well, I'm not a Kingdom Hearts
Mhm.
fan. I'll be the first to
Yeah.
admit that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Um,
Even I'm like
because
burnt out on the series.
yeah, well, when you have a story arc that goes this way, this way, this way, this way,
Uh-huh.
and then this mobile game also ties into
Yeah.
it somehow. Like, no, no, thank
Yeah.
you. I don't
Yeah.
have the brain power to digest that.
Yeah. Yeah, if you only play the original Kingdom Hearts and you get to the end of it and be like, "All right, that was a fun adventure. Like I understood that." And then it just digs that hole deeper and deeper and then suddenly you've hit water and then you're drowning in the hole and yeah.
It doesn't make sense. So,
But
with your guys' experience, at least with Kingdom Hearts, where does the trailer put the series and these events? Does it give any inclination as to what's happening?
I think I saw somewhere, maybe confirmed, don't quote me, that it's not very far after the events of 3. So it's pretty soon after Kingdom Hearts 3. Like
that's
maybe a
my
Okay.
impression.
yeah. That's what it looks like to me at least,
Well, like
too.
I think in the trailer, that girl, whoever she is. I think she says right there. You've been asleep like for 7 days or whatever. So it's possible that this is only like a week after the third one, maybe.
Yeah, that's pretty
So
cool though. At least.
yeah,
Yeah.
well, I mean, to me personally, the biggest talking point is these graphics. Like,
Yeah.
like I don't know if they've said what engine the game's being made in, I forget, but like if somebody just told me like, yeah, here's like a mock-up of a Kingdom Hearts for Unreal Engine 5, I'd be like, yeah, that looks like that.
Yeah.
like
It,
Yeah.
like
Well,
it kind of
this
looks
kind
like
of
they dropped that Heartless into like the Matrix Awakens demo.
yeah. Well, I guess this kind of makes sense because that's one of the other topics as well too today is that Sony invested an additional amount of money into
Mm,
Epic Games, which could potentially point to something along the lines of Unreal Engine, and it wasn't a small amount of money either. It was $1 billion.
a billion.
Yeah,
Yeah.
1 billion.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's up from so the Kotaku was reporting on this, and the initial investment Sony made, um, where was it? I don't think I included. I made some notes, but I think it was like 25 million or something, and then
Mm.
they upped it to
Oh,
200
250
million.
million. Oh, okay.
Yeah, so they upped it to 200 plus million, and then that's a pretty big jump from a couple 100 million, which I can't even fathom what
yeah.
that looks like,
Yeah.
to $1 billion. So along with the Lego company, they also invested an additional $1 billion into the company into Epic Games.
Man.
So I mean, how do you guys feel if that is the case where this is Kingdom Hearts 4 running on Unreal Engine 5?
I mean, okay.
It's gonna be
Alright.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Like,
Solid,
like,
John.
Like, yeah. Well, so like, the Digital Foundry guys, how they do like these hyper in-depth analyses of like
Hmm.
everything, like all games and stuff. Like, I know the one dude, well, like, I mean, they're all positive about Unreal Engine 5, because I mean, how couldn't you be? But I guess like I've seen them take like they'll say on Twitter how like there's like been like clear historical limits to what Unreal Engine can do, and like to people in the know about what an engine can do, like they always see it in an Unreal game. Like they know uh, that's like a weird quirk of Unreal Engine that you're seeing there. Like I think to
Yeah.
like these extremely technically savvy people, I think they look at like this like quasi consolidation of engines with a little bit of dismay. Like they're worried that there's going to be a lot of samey looking games, and that could entirely be the case. But to like a layman like me who like really doesn't know the technical end like in hyper depth, like I know it like on an abstract level, like this is called Unity, this is called Unreal Engine, but like I don't know what like something something occlusion means and how it affects the lighting when you look at it at this
Mm.
angle at like 60 FPS. Like I don't know, man. Like I just know if something looks nice. So like
yeah.
so like to me as the technical layman, like I'm just in favor of like whatever gets the video game out, like whatever makes it look nice, whatever doesn't have the devs on suicide watch. Like if Unreal Engine 5 is the one that does it, let's roll, baby.
Yeah, I feel like I can always pick it out, and the same goes for the Cry engine. I can
Okay,
always
yeah.
tell when a game is built on the Cry engine, and I think that's just plain
There's all
from
that crying.
from yeah, all the weeping. No, I played a shit ton of Crisis 2 specifically, and then 3, and I don't know. I think it was like where I think it was when Unreal Engine 3 into 4 transitioned, and I really started to like just identify things in my head that I'm like, oh, I can tell that that's Unreal because blah 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 blah, or the lighting seems like different in this frame or whatever. But I think the biggest thing goes that I'm interested, I guess, for Unreal Engine 5 is just like the AI creation, the enemy creation, a lot of the like texture tools that they're able to do like photorealistic texturing and lighting and things of that nature. But I mean, we're still struggling having the Series X and PS5 hit 4K 60 FPS on a lot of their games. So
Mhm.
I am hoping that this also comes with some optimization along with it. And I don't know if that's
Mhm.
on the developer side or the Unreal side or the console
Mhm.
side, but I feel like
Yeah.
something does need to happen there at least.
Yeah. Well, speaking of like optimization, a question I've seen raised about the Kingdom Hearts 4 trailer is just like, what platform do you think you're looking at right there? And like, I think the odds are good. It's just like a random PC build, because like
Yeah.
that's how a lot of these early trailers go. But like, if that's on a platform, there is no universe that it's not PlayStation 5.
Yeah. I
I was gonna say
I would
PlayStation
need
6, but
Okay. Right? Like I saw a random tweet that was like, do you think this will be on PS4? And like I didn't answer
no.
it, but in my head I was like,
no.
hell no. Like
Yeah.
does
Mm-mm.
that look like PS4 to you? Like
Mm-mm.
Yeah, I
no.
think at some point, especially to cut developer costs, they're going to have to stop,
Yeah.
releasing games PS4, PS5.
Yeah.
I mean, because you're already accounting for base PS4, PS4 Pro, PS5 digital, if there's any constraints, and then PS5 the disc version. Like you can't.
Mhm.
It's it. You got teams working remotely. They're already strapped. You have people working massive crunch, and now you wanted to release on 4 consoles and potentially others. I think some decisions are going to have to be made.
Yeah. Yeah. And
But
plus like Square in general, like I mean like I guess in recent years they've started like actually scaling down a lot to do a lot of smaller projects, but for their big projects, like they like all of them to be graphic showcases. So like
yeah,
I don't even think it would be in their interest to make this like a PlayStation 4 or an Xbox One game. It would just hold back
yeah,
the graphics.
Mm.
yeah. Even a timed exclusive. I mean, so what?
Yeah.
But so what's your guys' overall hype level for this?
I'm very excited. I'm prepared to wait a very long time for it though.
That's fair.
Like we waited 13, 14 years for Kingdom Hearts 3. Like
Something like that.
I'm just ready to like I said, I made the joke it's gonna come out on PlayStation 6. Like
Yeah. Your children will enjoy the game.
yeah.
Yeah, in 2025.
Yeah, if we're lucky.
I I
Yeah.
I would say
Yeah,
yeah,
we'll
I would say that's the longest. Honestly, I would guess that's the longest we wait is 2025.
Potentially. Because I mean,
Yeah.
hopefully.
obviously between Kingdom Hearts 2 and Kingdom Hearts 3, there actually were several other like full Kingdom Hearts games. It's just that none of them were 3.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and
There was
like
the DS game, the 3DS game, the PSP game, the desktop app game or something. Like there was a lot of games, but
I wonder if they just like I wonder what their meetings look like where they're like, okay, we have this main game that's still in production 7 years later, and then they have just a slew of these like shovelware Kingdom Hearts titles that need to come out to make money, so that they can continue the beast that's still in production. But
I
yeah.
mean, I think honestly, like I barely even remember what happens in each game anymore. Like they all like kind of blend together to me, but like I think I remember liking the one on the PSP actually, the Birth by Sleep.
oh yeah,
Mm.
yeah, yeah.
That
Yeah.
was the one I never got to play because I never had a PSP. I played the DS and the
Ah,
3DS ones.
okay. Well, like obviously there's like a million different versions of the collection now, so if you ever wanted to check it out on console, you'll have an option.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
Yeah.
so for me, like with Kingdom Hearts 3, like I was already so burnt out on the franchise that by the time that game came out, like I skipped like about half the cinematics in the game. Like
Mm.
every time they started a new speech about like the power of darkness, I was like, next scene. Like
X to
like
skip.
like I
So
just
the
I
whole
could
game was a quick time event for you. Skip, skip, skip.
yeah.
Oh
Start button
no.
triangle X or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like I don't know, like I it's possible I was like biased against it just like inherently just cuz like I was burnt out, but like I remember playing that game. One of the only things that like I really really liked was the Toy Story world because it was just so
Mhm.
cool. It was Toy Story
Mhm.
in Kingdom Hearts, and it was beautiful too. Like that toy store, like it looked so cool. Like
Yeah.
every part of that was really fun. Um, but when I got to the end of 3, mentally I was like, all right, I did it. I'm done. No more. I ended up buying that rhythm game on Switch anyway. But then I was like, okay, that was a rhythm game. now,
Oh yeah,
now I'm
I
done.
forgot about that one, actually. I haven't
I
yeah.
I couldn't forget about it because I had a chance to video. That was the only time I ever video interviewed Square Enix, and as a surprise out of nowhere, I met oh my god, I'm spacing on his name. This is ridiculous. Nomura. Nomura's like surprise showed up to this thing, the creator of Kingdom Hearts. So like I was like internally freaking out, and like that's like the most famous game dev dude I've ever met, and it was like by surprise. He was not scheduled to be there. He just decided to show up. So
That's so
that
dope.
was rad. Yeah. But anyway, that was just me gloating. But back on topic. Um I I wasn't expecting to actually care about this game at all, but like the graphics are so nice that like bastards pulled me back in again. Here I am again. Like I'm interested in a game that looks like that. If it
Yeah,
actually looks like that and like it's not appearing on like the last generation at all, like they've got me again. Bastards got me again. So there
Yeah.
we are.
yeah, yeah. I could. I again. I'm not a Kingdom Hearts fan, but
Mm,
I could see the potential for this being, especially this. I feel like this soon. I feel like we wouldn't hear something Kingdom Hearts for at least a couple years. But I mean, if they've got something to show at the celebration, maybe it's not too far off. But the biggest thing I think that stands out to me is probably like the continuity of it. And I'm just really sad that Brett's not here with some sort of continuity rant or something about Resident Evil, or that he has something to say about that.
whoa, is this a segue, Greg?
It could be.
Today's rant is all about Resident Evil 5. And I always hear people say, it's a good game, but it's not a good Resident Evil game. And you know what? I don't like that. It's a great game, and it's called Resident Evil, therefore, it's a great Resident Evil game. I don't like this saying. I always hear this. Sometimes things change. You're telling me because what's a band? A Day to Remember's fourth album sounds way different than the first album, but it's a good album, but it's not a good A Day to Remember album. That's stupid! Resident Evil 5 is awesome! It's one of the best co-op games of all time. Alright, I'll talk to you guys later.
Thank you, Brett.
Thank you, Brett.
Hey,
He's at Disneyland enjoying his time there, trying to find Sora,
Yeah.
and and still has rants to shell out. But also, I did
Yep.
see that the thing about Sora's shoes, how they've changed from someone's roasting him for his clown shoes, and now they're just regular sneakers. And so
Yeah,
he's
there's
finally
a
grown a
lot of
little bit.
thoughts and feelings about this style. Is it the true art style? Is it not, So
Hmm.
yeah. Since I'm like, as we've established, since I'm so burnt out, like I wouldn't even mind if it goes like super realistic, even if it makes no sense. Like maybe I would enjoy like the spite that hardcore fans would feel.
I,
Yeah.
don't- I would like them to explore something, kind of like in the Kirby vein, where it's like,
Mm.
kind of realistic world events that could happen, but also it's, overly cartoonish, so it's tied to the art style or the game, pretty closely. But I don't know, it's really hard to tell with these people because
Mhm.
Right,
he looks very cartoony, and the people on the street look eerily human, weirdly. I
more or
don't know.
less. Yeah. Like what I'm what I'm assuming will ultimately happen is that this will end up being like kind of like an unorthodox sort of like traverse town, like sort of like this will be the hub area that's like super
Ah,
realistic, but then like
Mhm.
2 hours in, you're like back to your Disney worlds, and all of a sudden everything's like super colorful and cartoony again. That's what I'm
Yeah.
Yeah.
assuming.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe this
We'll
was like
see.
the opening like low power boss battle that, oh, you can jump with X, and it like
Yeah,
walks you through all of it, and then you've cleansed the
probably.
area, and that's your overworld hub. But
Mhm.
Yeah.
a few other things to get through before I want to ask you guys some other questions. Bugsnax is getting a port along with all its DLCs coming to Nintendo Switch, Xbox consoles, along with
And
the.
Game Pass.
Oh, is it coming to Game Pass?
I think so, yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Okay.
Mm. I'll
Have
double
either
check.
of you
Yeah.
guys played it?
I have not. One of
Yeah.
my friends played it, really loved it. Watched him play it a little bit, but it was never really on my radar. But now it's getting ported over, especially to like to Switch or to Game Pass. I'm like, okay, maybe now's the time
Mm.
to check it out.
Yeah. Yeah, I
I
have
love
not
that.
played it, but it's funny, like actually I kind of know the ending though, and the
Oh no.
ending goes crazy.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Whatever you think the game is, the end game goes in a different direction. I will leave it at that.
Interesting.
Hmm.
Yeah, I remember the
Okay.
hype for this game initially was there was a lot of people that were liked its adorable cutesy art style, but it's funny that I hear Mary, like your same sentiments more often now. Is like it really wasn't on my radar until it came to Switch, and then
Yeah.
now it's like opened up. But I I feel like this would have been a Switch game anyways. It had
Hmm.
all the makings, the inklings of something that could have been found on Switch and then ported over to other consoles. So
Yeah,
I
and
dig it.
maybe what, like, I've just gotten kinda used to is, like, this feels like it could be a Switch game. I really love my Switch. I love the portability of it. I love being able to, like, whenever I start to travel more again, I can take it with me. It's good to just lay on the couch and be comfortable with. So I think I've just kinda trained myself to, like, "Alright, let's just, like, give it 4 months or so." Unless it's, like, a game I have to play right now, I'm like, "I can wait and see."
Yeah.
So
That's my attitude towards Tunic really. Like I just keep expecting Tunic to come to Switch and then I'll play it.
Mhm.
I'm surprised it's not already.
Right?
So,
Yeah.
um, if you guys guess that Kingdom Hearts 4 in some form comes to Switch?
Mm,
Uh,
like maybe
You mean you don't want to play the
like
cloud version? Is that what you're
I was
saying?
trying to think, I was like,
like
cloud version?
possibly, yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
at this point, why not? They clouded everything else. Like, sure, I don't know.
yeah.
Yeah,
I
is
I
that's
do.
not the best way to play it though.
No,
Yeah,
not at all.
yeah. I will
Yeah,
say, as more games get ported, and especially at the end of Kirby, I felt like the Switch was kind of showing its age. So maybe in 2028, when Kingdom Hearts 4 releases, we'll have a new Switch by then or something. I don't know.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, Bugsnax releasing on April 28th on the Switch. All of its DLCs will come for all versions on that day.
Yep.
Um, and then the other one was the Fire Emblem Warriors trailer. I, I thought we had this last week, but we didn't.
Mm-mm.
It
That
came out
was
today.
yep,
Oh, was it
Mm,
today?
yeah.
yeah.
It was this morning.
Greg's a time traveler, man.
I
He was ready to
again
talk
woke
about it
up.
last week, but we weren't ready.
I had a leak. I don't know. Some guy was feeding me tips from the inside. But what'd you
Yeah,
guys think about it?
I'm very excited. I'm very, very
Mary has
excited.
to hold down the fort on this one because I know nothing.
Yeah, I'm wearing, like, my blue Lions shirt and everything. I was like, "It's a Fire
Nice.
Emblem day," but, like, I woke up to it. Um, it's I'm starting to play more Warriors games, especially if they're going the direction that, like, Age of Calamity kinda did with, like, the
Mhm.
Warrior style games. It feels what's a good word for it? more welcoming to people who are newer to the Warriors games, I guess, because like Hyrule Warriors Definitive Edition, I got stressed out. It was overwhelming. There's so much happening. Age of Calamity kind of
Mm.
simplified the formula, but made it fun. And so I'm hoping they'll continue that kind of direction with this Fire Emblem Warriors game, because the other Fire Emblem Warriors game I've heard just okay things about. No one really talks about it too much, but it's there.
It's that good, huh?
Yeah. But Three
It's there.
Houses, it's
Yeah.
there, yeah. But like Three Houses was a really successful entry for the Fire Emblem series. It really kind of revived the fan base in a way. I haven't seen so many people excited for Fire Emblem in a while. Um, so I'm happy, and we saw maybe glimpses of a character that was mentioned in Three Houses, but we never
Oh,
saw.
interesting.
So I'm like, okay,
Oh.
so they're gonna like bring in some more of those characters. Like, okay, we heard them mentioned, we heard them talked about, and now we're actually gonna get to like see them in action.
Hmm,
So
Yeah.
that's
You make an
cool.
interesting point, because I was going to make this point as well, that a
That's
lot
what
of
makes it interesting that Greg also thought of it.
no, it's along the same lines, that Nintendo has this like weird way of introducing characters before like you actually get to see them in action, or like, I don't know, that the weird way that they've kind of how they did with like Smash Bros. Like, so in the Smash Brothers universe, you got all of these Fire Emblem characters out the wazoo getting introduced, but no one's ever
mhm.
really played. Even before people were introduced to a game that featured them as the protagonists or the antagonists. But I feel like the Warriors introduction, or at least the genre, is a nice way to introduce people to Fire Emblem or Zelda or Hyrule, any of the characters that are found within the city, or any of these games, in like a weird way that you're not actually playing the game they're from. You're
Mhm.
playing a different game outside of the genre that, like you said, is a little bit more welcoming. But I like that they're doing that, where they're talking about a character that's never been seen on camera or shown or whatever, and they're introducing them into the like Warriors game, which is, it just blows my mind.
Yeah.
Like,
Mm,
Yeah, you only
yeah.
see him for like half a second, but of course fans are like screenshotting, analyzing. He's got like we're very sure this is like Hilda's brother, who's mentioned very frequently in like plot conversations, but you never see him, and you see the back of his cape very briefly, and it's got the house crest on it, and we're like,
Oh my
that might
God.
be Holst. Like we might finally get to see Big Brother in action. So
That's cool. So I
yeah.
forget, is this game a direct sequel or is it like another alternate universe deal or?
So, trying to kind of figure it out, I think it's gonna be another alternate universe because it's a different
Mm,
protagonist, and then at the very end, you kind of see Byleth, who is the main protagonist in Three Houses, and it's like,
mhm,
are we fighting Byleth? Like, that's what it looks
mm,
like, you know? So I think this might be another, like, Age of Calamity alternate timeline kind of thing.
mm. Oh, that could be fun.
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it'd be fun to beat up the good guy. I'm making a whole video game about that,
Yeah,
but
I was just
that'd
about
be
to say,
class.
isn't
Yeah.
it?
Oh, yeah.
Well, I'm
But
true to my ideals.
So, Fire Emblem Warriors Three Hopes releases on June 24th.
mhm.
Okay.
Is that something you think will pre-order?
I was holding out to see if we were gonna get the limited edition, the collector's edition, and it looks like
Hmm.
everyone but the US has gotten it, so I think I'm just gonna have to go ahead and pre-order the standard, which I'm really
Uh,
sad about.
Boo.
man, what's up with that? Like,
I
obviously,
know!
Japan always gets the super cool stuff, and Europe a lot of times gets really cool stuff. And then there's us.
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
Japan and Europe, I think, have the exact same collector's edition, limited editions for Three Hopes, and then the US is
Mm,
like, "No, nothing."
yeah,
Get the standard
yeah,
version and a sticker kit. Yay.
Ugh.
yeah. But only if you'd get it at Target.
Yeah.
Eh,
The only
Yeah.
cool, like really cool pre-order bonus that Target had was, I think it was Mario Maker 2. You got like the yellow lunchbox,
Oh,
and it
really?
had like
Oh, I didn't know that,
yeah, it's
yeah.
Yeah, that's
behind me over
cool.
here. You can't really see it, but
Mm.
I only got it for that. I don't even think I've ever played the game. I just wanted the red block. But
Yeah.
no, I was pretty surprised. 13 gigabyte file size for Fire Emblem Warriors 3 Hopes.
Huh.
Okay.
So
I guess it's about right.
yeah, and then moving down the list, I think that's pretty much all that we have on news. Did I miss? Oh, Sonic Movie 2.
Oh yeah.
So
Did anybody
first of
see it?
all, yes, I did.
Not yet.
Yeah.
We're
Did you
making
see it,
I've
John?
plans
not
to
seen
see
it
it.
yet. Not yet.
You guys should clear your calendars for the entire week and see it every single day because it's the best movie ever.
So it's really funny. One of my friends who is actually planning to go, she couldn't wait. She had to go see like the early release. Like she saw like on the 6th or something, like the Thursday before. But every day, like in one of our group chats, she's like, have I told y'all today how much I love Sonic 2? Like every day, she's like, just a reminder, I love this movie. And I
Wow.
can't wait for it to like go see it again with like our big group of friends. We're just having to like coordinate our schedules. But I think we're getting close. I think we're trying to this weekend.
Nice.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was so much fun. I had the again like that the just like stupid dumb fun that like I'm going to the movies to laugh and enjoy this. It's Sonic. It's about a blue hedgehog. Like give me a break. It doesn't need to be serious or have like a major storyline.
Yeah.
But I walked out of there first of all with my cheeks sore because I had the dumbest grin on my face the whole time. And like it was I kept having this like weird realization during the movie that like this was like everything I wanted as a child was to have these cinematic experiences that featured video games and for more people to recognize that video games are important and they're fun and they have stories to tell. And instead we got the Super Mario movie, the the live
Mm.
action movie that was terrible. And that's what my childhood got. And so to now see like these big movies that feature Jim Carrey as the main antagonist in both 1 and 2, I I just walked out of there feeling content, feeling happy, and I feel like the writing is a portion of that. The actors, them opting to bring in Tails, the voice
Mhm.
actor.
Hmm.
There was a lot of these key elements that made it feel very authentic, very genuine. Despite it being a kids movie, and my theater was filled with kids, and all of them I could I went with my fiance and we could hear like, oh, is this going to be blah, 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 blah. Oh, yeah, this is where Tails. I wonder if, I could hear them theorizing. And that is so awesome. Like to hear,
Aw.
so many generations of kids. Like I'm literally getting chills right now because it was just like, it was so, it was moving in a way to hear like just this full theater have like all this chatter and no kid in that theater was bad. Like I didn't hear crying, screaming, or yelling, which was awesome too. But I don't know, I walked out of there like I think thankful. And I guess like the other fans would agree considering it smashed a ton of box office records. Worldwide box office total for this was 141 million,
Yeah.
which is on pace to beat the first film's
Mhm.
total amount of revenue.
Hmm.
And then domestically here in the US, 71 million. And then I went over to Rotten Tomatoes just because I saw a tweet that featured it, and it has a 97% audience score and a 68% tomato meter, which I don't really pay attention to much. I'd rather go with
Hmm.
what the audience says. But I'm very excited for you both to go see it at some point though.
Yeah.
I know I need to. I'm not sure if I'm gonna physically go outside for it. I'm definitely gonna see it this year. It's just I might wait for like streaming or like buy it on VOD or something. But
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm
but
more
yeah.
yeah, I was gonna say I'm more excited than I thought I would be to see it because I finally recently watched the first one with like the same group of friends
Mm.
that were trying to get together to go see the second one, and I enjoyed it. so much more than I thought I would. I was like, this is actually a really good, really cute movie, you know,
Yeah,
Yeah.
like
it's a nice like
so
buddy movie.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. But my 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 middle brother's family saw the movie this weekend and they all liked it and my 8-year-old niece like she loved it. Like afterwards they went to Build-A-Bear and she bought a Tails doll. Well, she made
Oh.
Aw.
her parents buy her a Tails doll. Yeah. So like I don't think she's like had like much of any exposure to the video games, but like she loves Sonic the Hedgehog now because of these movies. And like that's like
That's what I was
the definition of good branding, you know?
well, that's what I was wondering too, because I heard all the kids talking in there, but I was like thinking in my head, like, what the hell Sonic game would they have played?
Right?
Yeah.
I'm like Sonic
Like,
Mania?
yeah, like I doubt they're playing the one where he became a werewolf, you know? Like
Yeah, or even Sonic Boom was like a flop. I mean, Generations, and then you had Lost World, but like none of those were really standout experiences for Sonic other than Colors. Maybe they played didn't that re-release on the Switch.
yeah, it got a remaster that I hear was like kind of wonky, as
Oh
a
yeah,
lot of
yeah.
remasters are these days, but
Mm.
I'm a dummy. I own that one too, and I have not played it.
yeah.
Hello.
I think I think yeah, it's been a long time since I played like 3D, like traditional 3D Sonic, but I did play Sonic
Yeah,
Mania, and that was really fun. That was really good.
yeah, that was
And
a great experience.
I may have mentioned this before. I'm like the world's like single apologist for Sonic Lost World on Wii U. Like I think that game is great. Like nobody talks about this game, but like
See yourself out.
I'll rep it all day.
I think it's pretty to look at,
Yeah. I mean
but
like the game and I'm not going to waste much time on this cuz like even I don't want to spend that much time talking about this game, but like it it the game it reminds me of the Sega Saturn Sonic game that they canceled that had like the fisheye view and like it had like these wild angles and like this shifting gravity and stuff and like by the time the game came out it ended up looking more like Super Mario Galaxy. That's the name, right?
yeah,
Yeah. Um but like no, like it's I don't know, it's just a solid game and like Wii U owners like know what's up. I'll leave it at that.
yeah. I wanted to pick it up on Wii U, but for whatever reason it was like sold out, and I was like, I'm just gonna get it on PC, and
Yeah,
I
it's
mean
dirt
it
cheap
plays
on PC
okay.
a lot of the time. Mm,
Yeah, it's
yeah.
always in the Humble Bundle. I
Right.
think that's where
Yeah,
I got it.
that's how I have it on there. Yeah, I have a ton of 3D Sonic games on PC that I've never touched because of Humble.
Yeah.
Sweet.
But yeah, go see Sonic if you have not seen Sonic movie 2. It's worth it. You can join Mary and her friends or force it down John's throat by bringing him a bootleg copy. Um,
All right, cool.
but so we're getting pretty close to the end here, but I did want to ask this one last question that I think John brought this up. I don't know, John, do you want to ask this one?
I don't know what it
The,
is.
oh, okay, I'll ask it. So what do you guys think is the best generation of Nintendo console?
Oh, we're getting into this now? Oh
Mm.
man. Ugh. We might have to make this a two-parter and like bring it up again
Oh,
next week.
Yeah. I know, because I'm
Ooh.
like, I got such a late start to like playing video games. I don't feel like I had like the
Mm.
amount of exposure that like a lot of people did, but a lot of like my core memories from like gaming, falling in love with gaming were the N64.
nice.
Okay. Well, then you didn't
Any
get
game
into
in
it that
particular?
late then.
Well, I didn't like own a console till the GameCube though, so like I relied
Okay.
heavily on like playing at my friends' houses and like what games
Mhm.
they had.
Okay.
But my first one that I owned was a GameCube, so it holds a very special place in my heart. It wasn't until much later that I found out that everyone hated the GameCube, and I was like,
Well,
"What?" Like people are like, "This was such a disappointment of a console." I was like, "Was it?"
mm,
Like,
like I mean, if you go to Twitter, like people will like swear by the GameCube now. Like I think a
Yeah.
lot of it has to do with your age bracket. Like people that happen to be in like their, I don't know, like probably like mid-20s now probably think GameCube's the greatest thing on earth because that's the thing they were used to at that
Mhm.
Yeah.
age. Like I grew up with like, I mean, like we always had the original Nintendo because my middle brother had it, and like before I was born. I was born in '89, and so like by the time I was kind of like conscious and aware of the universe, we basically already had Super Nintendo. So naturally, I think Super
Mm,
Nintendo is like the greatest thing in the universe. That's how it goes.
yeah. See, I was gonna wonder if I was wondering if that was gonna be kind of the sentiment is,
Mm,
whatever console that you grew up on, because I would have said the same thing. I was born 86,
okay.
but I was, entering about that time where I got to experience the NES. But I've kind of always been that weird, like I want to see what the next generation of graphics are. I want to see, can this get cooler? And I feel like the N64 kind of did that with like its small moves into 3D and then, primarily being 2D games. But I don't know, something about the 16-bit era, which is still being replicated today, just kind of
Mhm.
Mhm.
stands out in my head. But close second, I would say, is the GameCube. I had so many games and I was in college and like I'm like, why do people like this? Double Dash is so much fun. It's like one of my
Yeah,
like fondest memories is just playing that game over and over again.
nice. Yeah, I mean, like, I don't want to sound like a hater because, like, I enjoy every generation of Nintendo, and it's been established that I liked the Wii U. I thought the Wii U was really underrated, but like, for me personally, like, all right, well, the console I have probably the least enthusiasm for is probably the Wii, just because, like I was dazzled with the Wii when it came out like everybody else and I got it at launch, but like for like the so-called like core gamers, like there wasn't like a ton of really great options. Like there was
Mhm.
a lot of casual experiences and Wii Sports was fantastic if like to have friends over with, but like there weren't many games I wanted to spend like 40 hours playing on a Wii. And that really didn't
Yeah.
ever change with time. Um, but after that, though, I'd probably say the GameCube was probably my second least favorite. And
Breaking
it's not that
hearts.
I, it's not that I dislike GameCube. Like I played like a ton of GameCube games, and I mean that was the first thing that Resident Evil 4, which is like one of the best games ever
Yeah.
made. It's just that like I think just like comparatively to other consoles, like maybe like it didn't give me like that same sense of awe sometimes. Like I don't
Yeah.
know, like I don't know, like, it's probably maybe it's a toss-up between, like, GameCube and Wii U for, like, what I'd put lower, but, like, I like them all. It's just, like,
Mhm.
GameCube didn't, like, dazzle me, like, Nintendo 64, like, you see Mario in 3D for the first time, it's, like, mind-blowing, like, life-changing experience, like, it's like, "Oh my god, how is this happening?" And,
Mhm.
like, Super Mario Sunshine's cool, I guess.
Yeah, I was really into my Xbox 360, like, during that
Okay.
generation, so, like, I was very focused on that. I got a Wii, but I called it my Zelda machine because I literally only it was for Skyward Sword,
Okay.
so
Nice.
that was it.
Did
Uh,
did you get the gold, what was it, the
oh,
gold
yeah, actually,
remote?
I have it right here because 'cause I'm using it for
Yeah.
maybe a dog.
Nice.
So, yeah, I got the fancy. It's my precious.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was like the limited edition bundle, wasn't it? With
Yeah,
Skyward
it was like
Sword and
their
it had
collector's
Probably.
edition one,
Yeah.
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 Yeah,
And
even I have that one.
it came with the 25th anniversary music soundtrack too.
Yeah.
Oh,
I have
okay.
that stashed away somewhere in my
Yeah, that explains why I have that. Like, I know I have Zelda music on my computer, and I didn't remember where it came from. Must be that.
Yeah, most likely.
Cool. Yeah. Cool.
I was just like thinking back to my GameCube and like there's so many games, Geist, Bloody Roar, Sunshine, Double
Bloody Roar was
Dash.
on GameCube?
Oh, it's like I would say it's the most fun version. I think they made two
Okay.
for the GameCube, but it's
Huh.
for some reason I played it front to back with every character and just kept unlocking more and like I don't know, it was just really fun. Especially going
Oh.
from the PS1 version to that one. I think they or PS2 they released. I forget which is what, but the GameCube one is probably my favorite. And then you had like games like Beautiful Joe, Capcom versus Tatsunoko was like another good one.
Mhm.
Punch Out. There's a, or I'm thinking of Wii actually for Punch Out,
Yeah, yeah,
but
Punch Out's Wii.
yeah, but there's a lot of games that I would say, um, just because the audience I felt was so small that missed out.
Mm,
But yeah, it's a close second
yeah.
to the 16-bit era.
Yeah.
But
And I think there's also a strong argument to be made just for like the Switch. Like
yeah,
between like Breath of the Wild, Super Mario Odyssey,
Yeah.
that's the craziest 1-2 punch in the history of video games. Like two like monumentally outstanding games like back to back within 1 year. That's unreal. And like since then we've got like Kirby and Animal Crossing and Super Smash Brothers,
Yeah.
Splatoon, like all these different things. Like
Yeah,
I
Metroid
think you could,
Dread.
yeah,
Yeah.
Metroid
yeah.
Dread. I forgot about Metroid. Like, I think you can very easily make an argument that like this is like the moment for Nintendo. Like,
Mhm.
Yeah, and plus, like, how do you unify all these generations? And you do that through releasing more original games that released in the '90s to Switch Online. Something that's got a bottleneck right now. I don't know
yeah,
if more will come, but I feel like that's something that I think Nintendo might be underestimating is they release stuff and rile up nostalgia, but I feel like they're missing, a lot of their core gamers that would buy a Switch because of just throwback releases.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
it needs to have a virtual console. Like, I know they have Switch Online,
Uh,
but, like, virtual console was just
it
there's so
was
much.
perfect. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, like
the Wii
I think
Virtual
Nintendo's
Console had so many games.
yeah, I think Nintendo's just trying to find the find the right way to milk this cow, and really hope that they do, and it's not some convoluted scheme to have people opt into some weird online membership like they've been doing, because that needs to be fixed. But I
yeah.
think once they hit their stride,
Yeah, well,
And
especially with, like, Sony catching up to Xbox kinda sorta with, like, the Game Pass style thing, I think that's gonna
mhm,
start pressuring Nintendo more to start reevaluating their subscription service at least, because
maybe
Game Pass is so good.
like,
that's
but
what I
why
heard.
is it such a freaking problem? Like, how hard is it to make a user friendly, family friendly UI and have a library of your own games
Mhm,
available for people to play? Like,
yeah.
that's it.
It
Yeah.
took them how many years just to put Earthbound and Earthbound Beginnings on this online service? And these are games that
Gosh.
they own. Like it's their IP. They can do whatever
I
they
Yeah.
know.
want.
I feel like that Earthbound card was played very strategically, though. Like, I felt like they could have put it down at any time, and it would have, accelerated whatever their memberships, or if they were going for more, the family plans or whatever. They could have played that at any point, and it still would have had the same
Mhm.
impact. People would have been
Yeah,
clamoring to get it.
Yeah.
yeah. It just really sucks that after all these years, there's still no official release of Mother 3.
Mm.
Like,
Yeah.
okay.
Literally lost in translation.
Yeah, right?
Uh,
Yeah, I've
there
heard multiple stories, but who
Yeah,
yeah.
knows if
but
they're true?
yeah, at this point, genuinely, like, who knows? Like,
Yeah,
Yeah. Like, we see some games starting to get translated and brought over, but it's always kind of like, "Okay, what's gonna be next?" Like, you can't really predict what and when. It just happens one day, and you're very happy about it.
yeah. Or
right.
just drop a Kingdom Hearts 4 trailer on a
Yeah,
Sunday
Yeah.
at 5
yeah.
a.m.
And well, like genuinely though, like Square's been like amazing about this lately. Like I don't think any developer is like diving into their back catalog and bringing stuff back like as hard as Square is right now. Like this past week, like they uncovered that new trademark in Japan for Tactics Ogre. Like there hasn't been anything with Tactics Ogre in over a decade, and like all of a sudden there's hope that they're gonna actually like do stuff, which is a big deal. And like obviously they just got done doing all of the Final Fantasy Pixel remasters, and as we discussed last week, like Live Alive is coming. Like nobody was expecting Live Alive. Like I found the trademark and I still gave up expecting it. Like, so
Yeah,
it's
which
I
I
don't
think
know.
is
These are exciting times.
yeah, I think it's very different, their mentality on curating and remastering these games versus, somebody like Konami that just updates the trademark and then just basically says fuck off.
Yeah,
Don't ask us
exactly.
about it. We don't ask us about it. We ain't got shit to say about it. We're just renewing it.
We're just filing our paperwork. That's it.
Yeah, don't mind
There was
us.
there was a Metal Gear 35th anniversary website, and it turned out to be an April Fool's Day joke
Oh my
from like some random dick.
Yep.
god.
So that's cool.
But
Yeah.
all right, so we're getting close to the end here. Any last thoughts on your favorite Nintendo console generation?
Mm,
No.
I mean,
Speak now or hold it
like,
for next week.
Twilight Princess is a
like,
GameCube game. I'm saying that just to
Ooh,
annoy one
hot
of my
take.
friends.
it's true though. In fact, it's the purest version too, because in that version Link is left-handed, and they flipped it
Mhm.
on the Wii, so
Oh,
Yeah.
non-canon.
interesting. I did not know that.
But yeah,
If that
I
is
think they
true.
literally flipped the entire game on Wii in order to be
Yeah.
able to like have it like in your right hand like the sword.
Yeah, the
Normally
entire
Link is
like everything's
left-handed,
flipped, yeah.
so that is so weird. Like I didn't even know you could do that to a video game. Like press a button and like whoop, it's all flipped now. Like, uh, but but
But
yeah,
yes,
I kind of wrote like an en- an entire article in the past talking about like the influence of Super Nintendo. I think it was the last time it had some anniversary. It was probably the 30th anniversary. I think that was last year. And like Greg, yeah, you hit the nail on the head. You said that like a lot of games basically still look like Super Nintendo games.
mhm,
And like I think that's kind of because like it's just sort of like the comfortable default, right? Like 16-bit color palette of more or less whatever you want. Like that was what Super Nintendo could give you, and that's what indie devs are putting out. So like it really feels like Super Nintendo established a lot of the conventions that have just like carried on like into perpetuity. So I think even just from like a historical perspective, like the Super Nintendo was like really significant in that way. And then when you just factor in like how freaking good like so many of the games were, like I just think you can
so
make a really
many.
strong argument there. Like there
Mhm.
was like a bazillion awesome RPGs. There was like all the great fighting games like Street Fighter. You had a bunch of like great shoot 'em ups like Gradius. Like basically like every genre was really well represented if it existed back then.
Turtles in Time. You got Sunset
Turtles in
Riders.
Time. Yeah. So many.
Yeah, that was my the
Super
like
Metroid.
Super
Yeah.
Metroid, even
Masterpiece.
Mega Man,
Yeah.
Kirby.
Oh god, yeah. Mega Man X is fantastic. Yeah. So that's my 2 cents.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
So this has been Spot Dodge, a live Nintendo podcast, and next week we'll be back, hopefully with our Brett's in tow, after he's done hunting down Sora, and our big daddy Dilf, Brett Larson is back on the show. But John, if people want to follow you and see what you're up to, where can they find you?
I don't have any jokes ready to go this week, man. I was too busy
Damn it,
being engaged. You should have pitched it to Mary first. But
Mary, where can people find you if they want to follow you?
no, too late, too late. Well, you can catch me on this podcast, bud. You can catch me here next Tuesday. I'm always here. But yeah, you can. I don't think I have anything too crazy going on at the Escapist right now. But we're working on some cool stuff behind the scenes, and we announced a bunch of cool new video stuff. If you've ever played Eve Online, which I have not, but if you have, we're going to be doing like this full scale documentary about it. We're going to
Oh.
their they have like this big annual event in Europe, and we got a crew going out there to film it, and they're going to do a whole documentary while they're there.
Oh
So
shit.
yeah,
Nice.
so if you love Eve, like hang around the Escapist the next few months because we're gonna have like a really wild documentary going up about that. Um, and on my front, still making my video game, Boss Saga, boss-saga.com, where you get to play as the bosses, beat up the heroes and stuff. And release date is 2045.
Right around Kingdom Hearts.
As they right
Yeah,
before
nice.
Kingdom Hearts 4.
But probably
it's a
released
race.
before it.
Mhm.
And then Mary, what about you? Where can people follow you?
You can find me over on the Destructoid show as one of the hosts with Brett. We are on Snapchat and TikTok making some awesome content there. And then you can follow me on Twitter and Twitch. Mary wants a cookie.
Give
Awesome.
Mary a cookie.
There you go.
And I'm Greg Vargas, aka Dynamite Giraffe. You can find me over on PC Invasion. I usually cover news a couple times a week. But you can also find me on Twitch, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, all my socials at dynamite_giraffe. And as well, make sure to follow this show. And like Mary said, the Destructoid Snapchat show over on Snapchat. Make sure you give them a follow.
Yes.
Give us subscribe here, set notifications on, ring that mother bell. But this has been Spot Dodge, a live Nintendo podcast, and we'll see you
and
next
and and and
Tuesday.
and and
What?
and remember to leave a comment down below if you want us to
Yes.
read it next week and talk about it. Uh, leave a comment on the YouTube video right after the main video is ended. Please don't leave it in the live chat. Obviously, leave it while we're doing the show. But when the video is over, leave a comment down below and we'll read it next week. We'll talk about it.
Yes, if you want to be part of the show, leave your comment on the video after the show is done, or if you're watching this at a later time, you can leave it there as well. But we will see you next Tuesday at 6 p.m. CST on this YouTube channel. This is Spot Dodge, a live Nintendo podcast, and we'll see you guys next week. See ya.
Bye bye.
Bye.